that working? Okay, so I'm just going to crack on and hope that everything's working okay. I'm sure Tori will tell me if it's not. So I'm going to bill myself as a warm-up act because I'm very, very nervous. So I just want you to be really kind. So I'm here to talk to you about empowering equity in education and to discuss the website that we've set up as well, that I hope helps people in their organisations. So some of you are probably wondering, why me? You know, is she an expert? I'm not. I'm a white, middle-class female, and I'm sure some of you are questioning perhaps my passion for equity. Well, there are three main reasons really that I'm so passionate about this. The first, obviously, is my family. Both my husband and my daughter are dual heritage, and I can't bear the thought that she would be treated differently or discriminated against just because of her race, as her father has been in the past and still is at times. So I have to do something. My community of staff and pupils and friends is a diverse one. And I've had lots of conversations over the last few months and been really shocked at how things haven't moved on, and the discrimination that a lot of them have faced and still face. And again, that's made me feel that I haven't done enough in the past, and I've felt quite bad about that, to be fair. My role as a head teacher means I'm really privileged. I'm in a position where actually I can do something, and I need to do that. I have the opportunity and I've got that privilege. I have to do something with that. So I thought we'd start by talking about what equity is. I think people sometimes get a little bit confused about equality and equity. It isn't the same for everybody. And I really like the analogy, and I can't remember, I'm so sorry, I should be giving credit for this, but I can't remember who said it, but it's equality is about all the pupils having a pair of shoes, but equity is about pupils having a pair of shoes that fit, the right shoes for them. It's not about ticking a box, and it's certainly not about one-off actions. I like this quote actually, about leaving the door open and having a pathway so that those know how to, that certain people know how to get there. So the question is really, so why do anything? So I don't think it's enough to say anymore that you're not racist or that you don't discriminate. I think you've got to be proactive in being an ally, and that means doing something different. If we don't change anything, nothing's going to change. And to be fair, I don't think things have really changed or moved on from when I was at school. And it's obviously quite clear that was quite a while ago. It's morally right that we help eliminate and reduce discrimination, surely. You know, I was really naive in thinking that things were getting better. And I think through my conversations, I've realised that they haven't, and in some areas they've perhaps got worse. And as I said about my role as a head, all of us in education are in the perfect place to instigate change. You know, who else has the opportunity to change the thinking and the behaviours for some of our young people and, you know, the communities of the future? And lastly, I'm a firm believer that people can't aspire to be what they can't see. We've got to give our staff and our pupils role models to give them these aspirations. I did some analysis of my workforce recently as part of the work that we've been doing on equity. And I can see that we're moving in the right direction. But as a leader, it's really important that I know where we don't have representation and I don't have the role models, so that I know where we need to change. Okay, so it's where to start. And as the quote says, the hardest part really is starting. And I think once you do start, then the rest starts to follow. you need to understand your baseline. So everybody, because we are in education and we're passionate about our young people, will already be doing lots really well. But we need to know what we need to improve. I'm not a lover of things like diversity weeks, Black History Month, things like that. I think they are a brilliant way to introduce new concepts where previous education hasn't perhaps been in the curriculum. But for me, true equity is about every pupil feeling represented in every aspect of their school life. So children should feel represented in the kind of music they study, the musicians, the artists that we look at. They should see relevance to them in the history that we're teaching them, in the books that we're studying in English. They need to see themselves, and it goes back to that point about there being role models. So it really does need to be embedded in every aspect of your curriculum, and that to a certain degree means moving away at times from the national curriculum, because I don't feel there is enough in there at the moment. So that leads me on to the framework and resources on the website. You'd almost think I'd written this for that purpose. So I just want to talk about the website just briefly, really. It came about from a discussion on Twitter between myself and Toria initially, and then a discussion with Gail and Danny, who are part of my SLT. And then I dragged Matt into it as well. And what we wanted to do was give schools somewhere to start, if you like, to give them an idea, because it's actually it's such a big topic that sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming. We've done quite a lot of work in terms of work on diversity in the past, and I thought we could share that knowledge. So there are 5 areas within the framework. Now, I am totally not saying this is the one way to ensure equity in education, but what I will say is that if you follow the questions and the prompts within the framework and look at where your organisation is within them, you will certainly be further on. I don't think we are, we're certainly not there. I don't think we ever are going to be, but we're certainly moving in the right direction. There's lots of resources on there that I hope are useful. There's a brilliant Padlet by Toria. There's some blogs that I think are really quite emotional in places, but we're open to ideas, if you like. And as I said, it's a start. It is certainly not the end. But what we wanted it to be was free, so that budgets didn't limit certain schools accessing it. Okay, so how can you help? You can sign up to the pledge if you feel it's appropriate, but you don't have to do that. The framework is there for you to use anyway. You need to think about how you can be an effective ally. I think that's a really good place to start, and educate yourself. The best learning I've had over the last few months has been through discussions with people I knew already, with close friends, with people I'd never spoken to before. But you've got to, within that, be really open, and you've got to be prepared to have difficult conversations. Sometimes I was left with questions where I had to challenge myself, and sometimes you can feel quite uncomfortable. So what next? Well, we just transform, don't we? We are going to transform education. We are looking for people to become advocates in schools, and there is a Google form that you can see there on the website, because we just want young people to recognise the perfect as they are, and we want them to see role models. If you've got ideas for resources, just email. But one thing I would really like everybody today to do is, if you just leave my session with one thing that you think you could do to support equity, then my job is done, so to speak. I think I've done okay for time. I think I've waffled on a little bit, so I'm going to stop there, and hopefully I'm going to go back and see Toria now. I'm hoping. Oh, that was my timer. Oh, I knew something would go.
Amazing. That was fantastic. Really was. I loved it. And I think, I mean, the website I'm so excited about. I really am. And this new the idea that we've had about role models, because that children really need to see role models. They really do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really important. And like I said, you know, you can only be what you can see. That phrase in itself, if you just think about that in your organisation and in your curriculum, that's it. It is as simple as that. If they can see themselves, then you've cracked it. And I think we've all got quite a bit of work to do to make sure that happens.